Hey everyone, my name's Jack Sullivan. I'm 60 years old, and for most of those years, I've seen fires that didn't just burn down buildings, they torched dreams, hopes, and sometimes my whole damn life. I'm standing here today, not on two legs like I used to, but with one gone, taken by a blaze in Los Angeles not too long ago. But I'm not here to talk about what I've lost. I'm here to tell you what I've found in the dark, in the smoke, and in the days when I didn't think I could keep going. My life's a mess of scars, but every one of them's got a story. So if you'll give me a few minutes, I'd like to share mine with you, not for pity, but to remind you that even when the fiercest flames roar, there's always a light out there somewhere waiting for us to find it. I was born in a little town in Kentucky where the smell of smoke from my grandma's fireplace is about the only childhood memory I've got left. My dad was a coal miner, a tough guy who never let us see him cry until the day his best friend died in a mine collapse. I was 8 years old watching this giant of a man built like an oak tree drop to his knees next to Uncle Bill's coffin, tears streaking down his coal-dusted face. That was the first time I got it. Life ain't always fair. And it was the first time I felt loss, this quiet fire burning inside me that I could never put out. My mom passed when I was 15. Cancer. She slipped away so quietly, leaving me and Dad in an empty house where laughter got replaced by silence. I went off the rails after that, dropped out of school, started drinking, picking fights in the streets. I figured if life was gonna take so much from me, I didn't owe it anything decent in return. But then one day, I saw a house on fire at the end of my street. I don't know what made me run in there. Maybe desperation, maybe just adrenaline. But I pulled a kid out of a room choked with smoke. When I handed him to his mom, I saw her eyes, gratitude mixed with disbelief. For the first time ever, I felt like I mattered. That was the day I decided to become a firefighter. I joined the fire department at 20. Those early years, I thought I was invincible. I'd charge into blazes like some wild horse with no fear. I saved a lot of folks, kids, old people, even dogs stuck in garages. But I saw things no one should have to see. I'll never forget the first life I couldn't save, a young woman trapped under a fallen beam. I tried everything, but by the time I got her out, she wasn't breathing. I stood there in the ashes, hands shaking, wondering if I was really cut out for this job. But the fire that really broke me didn't happen on the job. It happened at home. I was 32 when I married Mary, the kindest woman I ever met. We had a little girl, Emily, and for a brief moment, I thought life was finally giving me a break. Then one winter night, when Emily was 4, our house went up in flames. I wasn't there. I was pulling a night shift at the station 10 miles away. By the time I got home, there was nothing left but ashes and the echo of Mary's screams in my head. They said it was an electrical fault. Mary and Emily didn't make it out. I'd saved dozens of people in my career, but I couldn't save my own family. I gave up after that. Drank myself half to death, lived like a ghost in some rundown apartment on the edge of town. I kept asking why I was still alive when everyone I loved was gone. But then one day, I heard about a big fire downtown. Don't know why, but I threw on my old gear, drove to the scene, and helped the crew pull 3 people out of the building. Standing there, covered in sweat and soot, I realized I couldn't quit. Not for me, but for the people who still needed me. That's how my life went. A string of fires, losses, and moments where I found meaning in sacrifice, until that fire in Los Angeles not long ago. It was a night I'll never forget. An old apartment building went up like a torch in the middle of the city. I'd been retired for 2 years, but when I heard it on the radio, I couldn't just sit there. I put on my gear, drove to the scene, and jumped in like I'd never left. The smoke was so thick, I couldn't see my own hands. Screams were coming from everywhere. I found the first 2 people, a mom and her little kid, trapped in a hallway on the 3rd floor. I scooped the kid up on my shoulder, grabbed the mom's hand, and got him through a stairwell full of flames. When I got him out safe, I heard another cry for help. I turned right back around. It was a young guy, maybe 20, pinned under a collapsed door on the 5th floor. I ran in, heaved that door up with everything I had. He was panicked, but I yelled, "Look at me, I'm getting you out." And I did. I dragged him free, got him on his feet, and we started running for the exit. But then, just a few steps from safety, there was an explosion. A gas tank in a nearby apartment blew. I shoved the kid forward, but I didn't make it. A steel beam crashed down from the ceiling, pinning my left leg. The pain was like the whole world caving in on me. I could hear my crew shouting, but I couldn't move. I lay there in the fire, thinking this might be it. But they got me out. My brothers in the department. They dragged me to the hospital, and the docs said they couldn't save my leg. It was gone that night. I saved those first 2 people, but that 3rd kid, the young guy, he didn't keep his legs either. When I woke up in the hospital, they told me he'd survived, but he'd never walk again. I met him once after that. He was in a wheelchair, looking at me with red eyes, and he said, "Thank you for giving me a chance to live." I hugged him, and we cried together, not for what we'd lost, but for what we'd held on to, life, fragile as it was. So here I am today, standing in front of you. I'm not a hero. I'm just a guy who's been beat down by life, burned by fire, but still chooses to get back up. I've lost my family, my left leg, and sometimes my faith in myself. But I've never lost the will to fight, not for me, but for the people I could save. That LA fire took a piece of me, but it didn't take my heart. And if I can leave you with anything today, it's this: find the light, even on the darkest days, because that light doesn't just help you survive, it helps you live. Thanks for hearing me out. I don't know if I've got any talent to bring to this stage, but if I can touch even one of your hearts, that's a win for me. Thank you, America's Got Talent, for giving me this shot. And thank you all for reminding me that no matter how fierce the fire gets, we can still find hope in the ashes. Thank you.